tastes like it's done with Hefeweizen yeast. It's got kind of the banana clove, like wheat flavor to it.
Maybe I could see an
Like
American wheat if you were going to say that
yeah.
way, like the not phenolics even, but like the esters.
Mhm.
Esters is what I get out of one. I get a lot of
Yeah,
that.
yeah, I do.
And it almost does go into the sort of bubble gum.
Yeah,
Some of them we discussed earlier
light
at night.
sweet,
Right.
like airy sweet flavors.
Right. Still dryness, a lot of
Yeah.
dryness on the mouthfeel. Not a whole lot of. There's some bitterness there, but not a whole lot of like citrus character. But I think it's there maybe in the finish, you know.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, I think so too.
I think it's all finish on that one. The start of it is very similar to any plain yellow beer, but that finish is light and sweet.
So what are the characteristics of number one? Who made number one? And
Well, should we go through all of them first, or we should just go ahead and try each one and talk about?
I think try each one. Talk
yeah,
about
do
it, and
do
then-
each one
Okay,
individually.
so number one is the 3470.
Okay.
Okay.
That's a warm fermented lager yeast. It did well. It was pitched with 3 packs. This is a 1054-55 beer
Mhm.
for Original Gravity. 3 packs, dry, oxygenated well. It started pretty fast, and it worked its way through it at 59 degrees, sitting right next to the other one, which was a German ale. The German ale went absolutely batshit
Yeah, it did.
whenever I did it. But the lager yeast just had a strong fermentation, finished well. I warmed them both up just the same, everything across the board just the same, except for the fact that the 3470 was no gelatin was added to that. That's the one that went out and had none added to clean it up in
Okay.
any way. So like that was something, they were cold crashed before they were kegged, but I expected us to have this show sooner, so
Right.
turn it around a little faster.
Still, that's pretty clean for just cold
Mhm.
crashing.
Yeah, and cold crash, and then like the odd thing too is like we do have a color difference here. I think that there would still be a color difference even were they all the same
Yeah, I
clarity.
think so too.
And mine were brewed on a 3-tier system.
Right.
So
Well-
3 stands and whatever, whereas Nigel's were brewed with the cooler, and I think we
Gravity
kept
fed.
everything the same as far as I could tell, except for the hop additions for the one thing that I thought stood out,
Right.
where I felt like I could smell the aroma more so,
Yeah, the only difference with mine is I threw the hop addition straight into the kettle. Greg uses a hop spider.
Right.
So that's really the only difference between the two setups.
sorry, I just had a beer spilled on me.
Oh, nice.
But it's great. It smells great.
Yeah, 3470 though, my least favorite easily of the
Yeah.
bunch. And I was like, I don't like this, and I'm sad that I have a whole keg of it.
I mean, and really, it has zero hop flavor.
Right. It's surprisingly estery for what I get out of this, and that's what. I mean, this was babied as far as anything else, but like I also think is it just the 3470 because I'm getting some more graininess than I get in any.
It's
of the
really
others.
grainy,
Yeah,
but that's
serious
not
graininess.
unpleasant at all. I don't think
It's like the malt character stands out. but-
and I don't think you should poo poo this beer at all because I think the grainy character for me gives it that that special flavor. So it's it's not all about hops. It's sometimes it's about that malt and
dry
that
hopping
grain.
with poo poo. Because that might give it a
Yes,
shitty aroma.
yeah.
So
Might give it a little shitty aroma. I'm just
would it be the
Well,
warm temp for a lager?
that'll be your next Stubby's like brewing. When you do the education brewing sessions.
So you're saying
up
warm
here.
for a lager?
Would that lead to the esters? The warmer
I think
temp
that
for
the
lagers?
warmth possibly could be that. I mean, I'm surprised because the bitterness has been toned down a lot compared to the German, any of the other 3.
Right.
So.
Yeah, there's zero hops there.
Yeah, well, it's like covered up with esters. It's fruity. It's not citrusy, and it's not even dirty.
Yeah,
even
but it's
and
not
I think
even
I
like-
get that in all the others where I don't get it so much here.
Yeah, so
It is a little
lager
bit
yeast
fruity.
is not a good use for this style of beer.
I don't think so
Would
either.
appear not.
Which is what we were considering. Was like they said you might
It's
consider a lager,
lager-like, yeah.
you might consider German ale, you might use a British that's easygoing, you might go ahead with an American. Gordon Strong put out a recipe like right around the same time that we were working on this and Brew Your Own, and I looked at that, and that thing had all sorts of shit in it. Like, he really put a lot of extra in it.
It was
We thought,
complicated, wasn't
is
it?
this not supposed to be more basic?
Yeah.
Every beer that we tried on the table, for the most part, had a really basic, easy, straightforward recipe.
Yeah,
so
I would say that it's probably...
We wanted to find out what would it do. Don't use 3470. I'm going to tell you that much. You're going to have 5 gallons of some shit that you don't want.
It's good beer, but it's
somebody would like this.
I don't-
good
it's
beer.
not
It's not
bad.
a- it's
Like,
not a
seriously,
British
it's not
Golden Ale.
bad.
It's not something you go back to over and over again, going, yeah, I want more.
I have not gone back to it at all, saying I want more. That's pretty
Wow.
much my
It's
problem
time
with
to
it.
have a party at your house.
Yeah.
That's really weird because I don't
Hello,
think it's that
Blue
bad
Bonnet
at all.
Keg.
I really don't think it's that bad at all.
There you go.
By the way,
Take it
if you have any more of this, just bring it into the control room. I'll drink it for you. I don't
It's
mind
in
it at
there.
all. I really don't mind.
It's over here in the cooler. It's the one without the rubber band.
I mean, I don't think it's bad. It's just not as good as the other 3.
right.
All right.
So let's move
haven't
on
gotten
and
to
get
that.
into
Yeah,
what's
number
going on
2.
with the others
Number
here.
2.
All right. So, give me considerations on number 2 people.
Oh, number 2 people?
It's
Number-
dry.
number 2 people.
It's got a dry finish,
Did you
and I
do-
get some
did you
bitterness.
do number 2?
I brewed number 2.
Got a lot of fixation on the number 2 tonight.
I've not done number 2.
You've
yet.
been watching a bunch of German Scheisse videos?
Well, you may have done. I haven't.
It's definitely drier. It's definitely a,
That tastes more British to me.
yeah.
It really does.
It feels more British in that it like sticks to your teeth a little bit more than...
There's definitely a lot more. There's definitely a lot more.
A lot more hot presence in that.
Definitely more hot presence. but
bitterness.
To me, there's more like
A lot of
stone
bitterness.
fruit esters, like a more of an English estery character than what I. When you get estery from a lager yeast, I don't think it's a very pleasant ester. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? So
No,
like,
it's like almost cherry.
Yeah,
gross.
fruit cherry
Loopsy.
is-
Yeah, it's nasty.
Well, I believe, if my memory serves me right, this is US05.
That's what I was thinking it was.
Yeah.
I feel like it's the cleaner one
Yeah.
compared to the next one, which
Right.
I knew I could tell based
Yeah.
off our pours. But
And I
compared
just
the
had
next
to have a
one-
sip of number 3 just to ensure, but...
Right.
yeah.
I think that
I'm
this
really-
one's dry and straightforward. Like, it's got that U.S. character and it's got bitterness. So, like, it kind of makes me think of a pale ale in terms of, like, the bitterness is more
My
straightforward.
palate's jacked, dude.
Well, yeah, you've been chewing
Oh,
hops.
number 3 is a lot fruitier.
Well, see, and I liked the
Like
shit
right
out
up
of
front.
number 2
Right.
earlier today.
Yeah.
Now that it's warmed up, I get some not so.
Was
pleasant.
that redundant to like the shit out of number 2?
Yeah.
You didn't like shit number
Staying
one.
on the subject here.
Number two. I really liked this one earlier. To me, because
And we've got
that's the
some
thing
some
is-
cold stuff as well behind.
do.
But
behind
the,
scenes,
the
so-
number 2,
We've been
the
sitting for a minute.
Yeah.
This and what was number 2? The only difference is it's all the grain bills is the
Grain,
same, right?
grain and hops, everything's the same. Fermentation temperature's the same. The only thing that's different is the yeast.
Okay, and what was the grain bill? Pretty much.
Pilsner and pale ale,
Pilsner,
flake
Pilsner,
barley.
pale malt, Pilsner, British pale malt, and flake
This was
barley.
all IREX too, wasn't it? I'm pretty
We
sure.
used Mutton's pale malt.
Muntins?
Yeah, Mutton's
Okay.
pale malt. Okay.
Hmm.
Yeah.
No Maris Otter.
No Maris.
No.
Okay.
No, we went with light on everything because
Yeah.
all of these styles are super pale. you know.
I'd love to try this one with just Pilsner malt.
I kind of feel like the graininess might
Yeah.
be that comes with Pilsner. Like that's what I thought stood out a little bit too much. Like
Yeah.
maybe it's like we were thinking we better cut it back and like in mine, I taste it in both of my examples. I taste a little bit of it in Nigel's, for these, but I feel like the yeast covers up more of it, whereas in mine they don't cover it up as much or they bring it out some.
So you
know.
did have Pilsner in some of these?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's
Yeah.
There's-
12 pounds.
Oh, I thought
No.
you said it was all pale malt.
No,
It's 10 pounds of Pilsner and 8 pounds of pale ale.
So it's
mostly Pilsner.
Yeah, it's mostly Pils.
Okay. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, with just a hint of flake barley,
Okay. Okay.
Which I think, like, had I poured this from the keg, this thing has got crazy carbonation strength and
Yeah.
head retention. But
Yeah.
Mhm.
try the third one. This, to me, I think is my favorite on the table.
Mine
It
too.
is my favorite as well.
This is
It's,
close to what I think it should be.
Well, I think so, but
I'll get a hint of butter in that too.
well, that might be down to that yeast
Really?
and the
Yeah.
fact
Yeah.
that the beer's warmed up a bit.
It has warmed up.
Yeah, you don't get it when it's cold, but I think you get
Right.
it when it's warmed up a bit.
Just a hint, though.
This gives some emphasis to the EKG that we added in. I feel like I don't taste the EKG as much in the others, but I get it more here, and I feel like it's like the English yeast is working with the English hops to help bring it out, but yet we're still getting some citrus background and enough bitterness to drive through to make it like not an American pale ale.
Right.
Yeah.
So
Well, and this
Or
one, too,
blonde.
is definitely the clearest of all four of
Yeah,
the
that's
samples.
super clear.
That would also lend itself to probably English yeast flocculating out.
Right.
right.
I do feel like this one's under attenuated, or not. I would say under attenuated, but less attenuated than the other two. Which,
Okay. Just because of the dryness.
yeah,
Or
but
lack
for
of.
for me, I don't necessarily dislike this. I don't dislike any of these beers, but for me,
Number one can go to hell.
Give me your number one.
I
Huh?
mean, I still think it's drinkable.
Yeah, give me that
but,
number one.
I mean, to me, it's not, and that's something we discussed, I think, with some of the guys tonight. You know, some of the pro brewers, and one of the things that we talked about a little bit is a beer bad because it's infected or funky, or is it bad because it's just not a great recipe?
Right.
And I think that's really where you have to separate some of
The
these
yeast was
things.
wrong.
The yeast was wrong on number one. It
Well,
doesn't necessarily make it a bad beer.
Right. And,
It's just not.
And so
It
what
just
we've got,
doesn't get to the next level. You know.
Right.
Final product bad.
and what we've
not
got here
recipe
is
bad.
a round one recipe
Yes.
that we
Yeah.
think needs tweaking. And we've got some
No, that we know needs tweaking.
no needs tweaking, and that we've got some yeast that we can now eliminate out from round
Yes.
2, knowing that they're not suitable or acceptable for this type of beer.
Right, and I think what's most important for us, Nigel, for when we're talking about these types of experiments that we've done, is to convey to the listener more than anything. Oh, okay, well, what's different about
Right.
these? We got to make sure that these people understand that. Okay, we did the same grain bill. How do we change each one of these samples that we're tasting and sampling, because maybe they'll be able to use some of this data when they go and try to do their own beers, whether
Exactly.
Absolutely.
it be an IPA or they're doing a British Golden Ale. How do you evaluate that? How are you comparing these? I mean, how are you discerning what is different? You know, and I think the biggest important part for us when we're talking about these beers is, you know, what's different? How is number sample 1 different than number 2 and number 3 and number 4? And then, I mean, I just don't want that to get lost when we're talking about.
Yeah, no, it's an important point to notice the differentials of what we've already done, and then secondary is how we move forward and change it on. So,
all right. So from what I understand, can you kind of run off the recipe that we originally started with this? So it's mostly British Pale Ale malt.
No.
Pilsner malt.
Pilsner malt.
Pilsner, then pale ale.
And
So,
then-
like, you got 2 pounds less of pale ale. Not even half and half.
it's about 55% Pilsner.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then a pound of flaked barley just for head retention
Okay.
and whatnot.
And that's it.
Yeah. And then
That's it.
Magnum
For
at
bittering.
60. At 60.
Okay.
So it'd be like, for a 5-gallon batch, it'd be a half ounce. Half ounce, again, for a 5-gallon batch or so, probably around about a half ounce. Centennial at 15 and 5. And then EKG also at 5. Same,
Okay.
half ounce. So, like, we were really minimal in hop usage on this.
Right.
And then we mashed at 150 to keep the body light
Okay.
Yeah.
and keep the fermentables high. And it came out to be about a 1054 beer,
Yeah.
I think.
Well,
And it got down to, 1008 for...
Yeah, 1008. Yeah, and like
So
I
it's
say,
it's
we
around
corn-
5%.
We
It's
threw some
5
corn
to-
sugar in there too, of course.
Yeah, and corn sugar. I'm sorry. I
Yeah.
keep forgetting.
well, and what's really weird to me is these beers don't taste like they're that dry to me.
The next example was number 4, which was the German ale yeast. To
Yeah.
me, on the table, it's the driest beer.
Yeah.
It has
Okay.
the least amount of any malt or hop flavor, but it's also really easy to drink. This one I'm not terribly unhappy with. Like, I wouldn't say this is a bad yeast to use for this style.
Okay.
You know, but it's
So-
a little too just like flat, and the aspects that you want to find some malt character, some hop character, and whatnot.
So the main thing,
But this one also had gelatin.
I guess that was a point. I guess that's a point I was trying to make, was that the only difference that we had between these 4 samples all the same mash temperature.
Yeah, just yeast.
It's just yeast.
Yeast in two different systems. That might be a possible player.
That's a possibility,
right?
For sure.
The other thing that we haven't discussed, and I don't know if it makes a difference, but it's something to consider, especially with the number 3 example of the British ale yeast, is we did make water additions to mimic that of Yorkshire
it's
water.
Very important.
Yorkshire.
So I don't know if the Yorkshire water additions react better with British ale yeast or American yeast or German yeast, but I think they may have made a difference in that.
These are pretty minimal compared to other 12-gallon batches
you know
I've
what's
done.
really
They're minimal
weird
additions.
I'm actually digging the 4th better than anything now.
Oh,
Well, you
4th
liked
is
it the
great.
first time you had it. You really
This
liked the
is really
dryness of I think the crispness that comes with it.
I
Like this dude,
Well,
if you were to pour this right out of the container or the keg,
Yeah.
it's
well,
crazy.
here's the thing: is I don't like the smell of it.
Yeah.
I don't like the aroma of it, but I like the flavor of it. I think the overall.
What put
hot-
you off about the aroma, though, Stubby? What put you off?
It's like a weird ester.
So you're just going to hold your nose and drink it?
Well, if you could do
Yeah.
3 and 4 together in some way, I think
Right.
I'd be
Yeah.
on top of that.
I
for
just
the
don't-
rum.
4 kind of smells like an off citrus flavor smell to it.
Yeah, it's
there
got a
is
little kind of
citrus.
fruitiness to it.
Yeah.
To
But
me, you know what?
there
To
is
me,
citrus,
what
so that
Yeah.
counts.
you know, to me, what it smells like to me, it smells like rose petals. Yeah, and I know that can be conceived.
It smells
from
flowery.
alcohol.
I wouldn't go to rose.
Geraniol.
I wouldn't go
Yeah,
actual rose
maybe.
petals. I'd go fake rose scent.
Well, and there's something in hops that's called geraniol, and if you ever have some of the,
It does have a floral.
if you ever have like your, if you ever do like a
When you say
the
that, I
Siebel
taste it.
test,
Yeah.
the geraniol,
Yeah.
it's very geraniol.
I get it now that when I hadn't even thought about it, but yeah.
But so it's just aroma that's a little off-putting to me. I don't know if that's. I think that may go away, or if it was colder, I may not notice that.
Right.
You know, and that's the thing that I was telling Nigel earlier. I like number 3 earlier was the USO 5, but it wasn't.
Number 2.
Was it number 2?
Number 2
No,
is
it was
USO
USO
5.
5.
What's
Yeah.
number 3?
It's Omega British Ale 1.
Right.
I like that one better because I thought the hops came through a little more. It was like a little more crisp.
It's more English for a long shot.
No, I'm talking about
Two.
the one with the USO 5.
Oh, the
Yeah.
05?
was a
Well,
little
that one
more.
to me just seemed like more of an actual pale ale.
Yeah, well, to me,
It's
I got-
crisp.
It's
Yeah.
crisp.
It's bitter.
Right.
Yeah, and
I
I
think-
think that's okay.
Once
For
we
this style.
once we crack out the other growlers that's in the fridge that's cold and sealed, these were these were opened earlier and unsealed. So these are sealed. I think you'll maybe see another difference in
We have
it.
to
Right.
drink
I
more
think
beer.
Let,
number 2 had more hop
let
character.
me go grab.
And number
How's
3
that?
Yeah,
had
number
more
2
malt
did
character.
had more. Yeah, exactly.
Well, and I think this is a really interesting experiment, and I think what I want you guys to take from this at home is when you are, and this is just one element, and I'm telling you guys out there that
it makes a big difference, doesn't it?
all 4 of these beers are completely freaking different beers.
They really are.
I mean, they're every single one of these are way different, and so this is the process of learning to brew a beer or to
Right.
basically making a style or you're starting to make your recipe.
you have to develop it through trial and error.
It's the process of elimination, and I think there's not a better way to do that than to splitting out exactly what you
Damn
guys
British
did
man.
is to actually split them out and brew the same batch of beer, right? Change out the yeast and go, okay, well, we had 4 different yeasts. Which ones did you like the best? Well, I definitely like this one better than this one. This one's definitely not great
Right.
for this style.
right.
3470, not good for the style.
So you eliminate those, and then you come in, and then you may have to change your. You may and that's the thing though. You could go in and you change your hop bill, and then you could use the same yeast, and they would be all 4 of them would be completely different too. So
What is that?
That's the great thing about brewing, though.
yeah, well, but I think these are the things that I think it's going to be the biggest downfall of small breweries is that They have an idea, and they don't have the ability or the money
better
or
cold.
financial.
Softer.
They don't have the financial ability to do multiple tests and try and do process elimination. And I know this for a fact because I've been in the brewing industry for a long time, and one of the things that I have noticed is that, you know, a lot of the startup breweries, they do what they can. You know, they try new stuff, and they might have a little homebrew rig that they're trying some stuff on, you know, and they're trying to do some different experiments on it, right? And then you know, and then they'll just push it into their big system,
Right.
They really don't. They really don't have the ability to do more than that. And then I've noticed some of the big regionals now, after they've been around for 8 to 10 years, now they're starting to go, oh, let's have tasting panels and let's do evaluations of these beers, and let's get a panel of people that, you know, that may have some insight to the style of beer. And I can promise you, these big regional beers are actually turning out the best beers they've ever made because they're doing stuff exactly what we're doing tonight.
Right.
You know what I mean?
They're actually willing to change something up to make the best beer possible, and that's like what we're trying to do. Because
Right.
Nigel
that's the
probably
whole
has
point of this.
his perspective on his favorite summer ale or, you know, golden ale, and I had my perspective of all the things that we tried that night because I know what he liked, I know what I liked. I liked what he liked too. I just happen to prefer that other one, and they're two different beers. They're definitely two different things, you know.
Yeah.
And I think that when you try all of these, none of these really match up to either of those beers. They're not an
No, I don't
in-between.
think so.
They're not, but there's the start on both of them.
Right,
you
but
know?
of the 14 that we had on that night, I think it was 14, maybe 10. I don't know.
Yeah.
Or 37.
There was a
or
lot,
whatever.
yeah.
Had 14 in one night. Wow.
Huh?
But
110.
none of these would be out of place in that list of 14.
No, I don't think so.
They'd all have
Yeah.
they'll have their place, so just a little bit different from each other.
3470 would be kind of considered with those three that were really
It was-
shitty.
yeah, it was on the outside edge. Yeah, the ones that were lazy sod or
yeah,
whatever it
lazy
was.
style
Right.
and whatnot.
Well,
but
and
they're
he-
not Citra. The Citra one was incredibly intense too up
Right.
front. You know, and
Yeah.
none of these are anywhere close to that.
Here's the thing that I would say that for me, tasting these styles and if I were to give you advice on what I thought would make them closer to what we had on the original night, and this is just pulling stuff from my ass. I mean, of what I remember, because we had a lot of them that night.
A whole lot of ass stuff from Stubby tonight.
Stubby's ass right there, but
I didn't talk about poop too much. But anyway, is that the biggest? I think you guys are on the right track. I don't think any of these beers were.
Right.
I mean, they were, none of them were.
I would drink
Okay.
them all.
Okay,
just
here.
for the record.
Gravity. We're in the right range for that. Body in the right range.
I think so.
Right. Yeah.
So to me, this is what I would think, and that's kind of what I was getting at. To me, I think they need to be a little drier. To me,
Like dry, like the German ale dry.
yeah,
but not necessarily the yeast, but drier
Yeah,
in
just
body.
drier, like in body.
Okay.
And more hop assertive.
Yes.
Right.
Now that is definite.
Yeah.
That is the one thing
Yeah.
that, and this is the weird thing too. The day that we brewed it, Nigel had thrown his hops in just open, you know, and I'd done a hop spider, and there was a huge difference in aroma and flavor, even in just
Even on
tasting the
that day.
sample right
Yeah.
out, you know, cooled.
Yeah.
What produced the most aroma and flavor? Which one?
Just throwing it in.
Oh, I was getting Nigel's. I could tell more so, but I
so
could
minus the hop spider.
right.
Do you
Like
think
it was
the,
less,
the
less
filter has a?
Possibly, something could have happened that day too. Like I've been using more of a fine mesh bag lately when I do hop additions instead of the just straightforward spider, just in case, you know. But I can say that day I was thinking to myself, like, I can really smell the Centennial in this,
And that's
but I
what-
don't taste it now.
Right.
You
And-
know,
Yeah, and that's been something I've been working on, and we've mentioned it on previous shows about how I've had to overhop my beers previously, so now I'm throwing hops directly into the beer instead of using a hop spider
right?
or a basket of some sort.
Well, maybe that should be our next big.
I think it's a good
experiment.
experiment.
I think so.
Yeah.
And see,
Yeah.
and there is a real reason that I even brought that up, because using a grain father now, for the most part, I'm always really cognizant of not clogging up my.
Yeah, you're fighting
my-
that thing.
Yeah, exactly.
you have
And so I use a
On more
hops-
than just hops.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yes and no.
But I'm always really cognizant of what my hop utilization is actually going to be, because I don't want to throw them all in and clog up my system. And so in doing that, I use a bag, or I use a like a bullet thing, screen, something like that. But I always feel like I'm not getting my hop utilization because I'm using a screen.
Well, I didn't think that was a thing until it started happening.
Right, and so that's what I wanted. Like, is that if that's a real thing, then we should talk about that being a real thing and kind of.
I want to do an experiment on
I'm
this.
starting to believe it's a thing, but again,
Yeah.
until we experiment with it, it's difficult to say.
Because I
But
think that
Well, I think we started
there's
experimenting.
great value
Yeah.
in having the difference, but
Oh, I can assure you, there's a difference.
yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's a
and-
difference, but
and-
There's
is
gotta
it the
be.
difference that you want.
Well,
or
we're
the
not like
difference that you don't?
like professional brewers. They just throw them in for the boil. It's all added directly, and then it's separated separately in another
Right, yeah.
manner of some sort. Because they have much better options than we do. But like for that day, we got that. Now here in the beers themselves, not so much. But I think that the key is that maybe adding a couple of more ounces of Centennial
yes,
at 5 minutes would make a huge difference to the flavor and aroma to
I
this
think
beer.
so, too.
Absolutely.
Even adding some extra EKG too, just to balance out the
Well,
more spicy, not spicy, but the earthy flavor.
And I guess one of the things that for me, when I was drinking all these beers, I really enjoyed them. And one of the things that I don't remember at all is I don't remember any esters, really, in the nose. And it may be because it was dominated with hop aroma.
right.
And you know what I mean? So
So
They
yeah.
were clean and
they
dry.
were clean and
Yeah.
dry.
Except there were a few of them that were they were so hop forward and a little sweeter maybe.
Honest to God,
They were still pretty clean.
Here, to me, they were almost like saison dry. To me,
A lot of them were
I mean, just like super
But-
uber dry.
like Gordon Strong to put his thing out there. He put out he was putting American ale yeast and British ale yeast, and I was like, there's no way you're getting the
No
level
way.
of dryness you wanted. But he was also adding a whole lot of different stuff. I had a whole nother recipe for Nigel that day. Do we want to do this? This is what I made based off our original recipe and what he has in BYO. That's like a 2 months, 3 months back, I guess, BYO issue, or like 2 or 3 back.
And this is nothing against Gordon Strong, but did he have 15 different beers to evaluate to come up with the recipe?
Right.
Well, no, he didn't. But I mean,
There
you
was-
know,
it was
I'd
a lot of stuff.
I'd like to think he knows more than I do. So
For-
when I turned around and said,
Right.
"No, this is probably not what I'm thinking,"
It was
of,
just
you
to
know,
me,
I
it
mean,
was-
that's not a shot at.
no,
at
it's not.
him.
I mean,
Just
that's
We
It's
had
a really-
tried our beers, and both of us thought, this seems like a lot. It's going to have
Right.
a lot of character, where none of those had the same amount of character that these beers that we tried did. And these are straight from the source, and we had 14, 15 of them.
Well, to me, and honest to God, man. So this is the thing I think ultimately you got to look at. To me, these are the things that I got the impression of all 4 of these beers, and this is totally not a knock on the beer, because I think they're very drinkable. I think there's nothing effective. There's nothing wrong with them. There's
No
everything is okay. If you're trying to achieve like the summer lightning and stuff that we tasted earlier, the thing that I would say is that drier
Yeah,
and more hops.
definitely more hop for it.
yeah.
These
So
are way too light.
So what I've got to do personally is get over the hump of British ale yeast on a British golden ale, because I don't think that's applicable for this style of beer.
I don't either.
And as much as I enjoy it, and I think it is the best, personally, the more favourable, I won't say the best, the more favourable beer for me is the one with the British ale yeast. I don't think it's necessarily applicable for this style of beer.
Well, but here's the thing. You might be able to use something like Nottingham, and it'd be fine.
Right.
Maybe, but at 58 degrees, you'd have expected to keep the British Ale character down to a minimum anyway. You know.
Yeah, that's
So-
what I was
Well,
thinking,
and if
too.
you're fermenting that cold, though, Nigel, you might actually be retaining a lot of flaws.
Well, that's possible.
You know what I mean with the
Yeah.
English yeast,
Yeah.
because you might have more butter, you might have more.
Right.
You know what I mean, because, or you might have some other weird flavors because that's pretty cold for English
Yeah, it is.
yeast. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? So, and I think that
That may have
may be why I like that. I think you can ferment USO5 or 1056 really cold,
Yeah.
Yeah, you can.
and you can get away with it.
That may
well, that's
also
faux
explain
lager
wh-
range.
That
yeah.
may also explain why the British Ale yeast is less attenuated too, because it was so cold.
Well, and typically English ale yeast is less attenuated.
Right. Well, it is. that's
because
true.
Well,
it
it
has-
likes it cool, but it doesn't like it cold. You
Right,
know,
right,
on
yeah.
So,
Well,
Sounds like
and
British folk.
exactly. You also apparently like it just foggy and shit.
Yeah, well, that's right. Yeah,
Yeah.
less of the
Dark
shit,
and gloomy.
less of the shit, but foggy. Yeah.
Okay, so I think, like, our recipe wise, do we think that the grain base is good? We just need to change the hop
All
profile.
right. Well, let's go through the recipe that you guys brewed because I think that's important.
So 10 pounds Pilsner, 8 pounds Pale Ale, and a pound of flaked barley.
Okay, and that is
And
for a
12
10-gallon batch?
12.
Or 12-gallon
12
batch?
gallon
12,
batch.
sorry.
Okay.
Yeah. And it's also the pound, 2 pounds.
Pound.
Pound.
I think it was
I think it was a pound.
Pound of corn
Pound
sugar.
of corn
let,
sugar.
let me ask you this: why did you add the flake barley? I'm just curious.
Head retention.
Head retention.
Yeah,
Head
because they were
retention.
very much about head retention in all the beers that
okay.
we had.
Yeah.
I'm all about head retention.
And a little bit of body, maybe. But,
and we
you know.
really didn't get that. I don't think.
Dude,
And maybe
we
oh
because
no, I
poured
think
these-
that's great.
Hey, trust me.
Yeah,
He sat in front of you for a while. So.
Yeah, that's great head retention. I think
This
that
was-
worked.
And mine were poured at
Like
3
like I
o'clock this
said,
afternoon. So.
try one out of the keg. Both of the ones out of the keg that I have at the house, which were
Lively as hell.
easily carbonated at 12 psi for 5 days, and the pressure's turned off, have a lot of head retention, a lot
Okay,
of that,
okay.
so-
All right. Well,
It
you got that then.
Yeah.
Okay, well, let me ask you this: would you change? You wouldn't add Maris Otter, right?
No,
I
but-
don't
I think that'd
think
be
that
heavy.
would-
But what I'd perhaps do is drop the pills and increase the pale. I might do
Really?
50.
Yeah.
Might do 50-50 on the.
Yeah.
on
Be a
the
little
grain
less
bill.
grainy.
Yeah.
See, to
Yeah.
me, I think I would go the opposite.
Yeah.
that's
but-
just me.
Yeah, you love pills.
I love pills.
But it's not supposed to be a Pilsner either.
No.
I mean,
No.
it's,
Well,
you
I know that, but
Yeah,
I would be willing to bet you money. A lot of those that we tasted the other night were 100% Pils malt or English, what they call it, lager malt.
Well, it may be. Personally, I would increase the English malt and drop the pills just slightly.
I think
Okay.
I would too.
Just
Okay,
for the graininess.
drop the,
is that the reason?
Maybe 149 or
I don't
drop the
necessarily
graininess
know if
48
you're getting the
too.
graininess from the Pilsner or the.
Well,
it's
like
from the-
to me, Pilsner
Yeah.
shows up. I mean, it does. I've done IPAs with it, and I thought, man, I can taste it. And when I did this before with just like standard pale ale malt, I didn't taste that grainy character.
Okay.
But it's the Pils character that I feel like I get
Right.
that graininess out sometimes. And I think too, it does definitely show up more depending on how
Right.
much hop character and what the yeast you use. So
And to me, I mean, me personally, on your mash temperature, I'd probably go lower.
yeah,
Yeah, we were, I think, 152 on my system. I
yeah. His
think.
was a little higher.
Little
actually.
higher.
Yeah,
I think I would hit it about 148 next go around.
Right.
That's just me.
more like a saison
Yeah.
range. Yeah.
See, I'm
Yeah.
just scared of it being a little bit too thin and watery then.
You know what? I think it would
Well,
be
we could also
okay.
remove the corn sugar.
Well, that's true. Yeah.
I think it would be okay. Honestly, I think if you, I think this beer would be okay thin. I really do. It's kind of like
Probably. Yeah.
a session IPA.
Yeah, because they're not
Yeah.
pale ales even. They're
not.
not
Right.
blonde ales, which has a whole nother roundness to it that
Yeah,
just
like
sort of
just
like
almost
just
too
throws
straight,
everything
you know?
off.
Yeah.
I'm not a fan of blonde ale unless
I
it
don't
has
either.
something
Yeah.
added to it. So it's closer to maybe a
To me, they're
cream ale
calling-
without being a
Without being
flavorless.
Yeah.
Well, that's part of the problem for me and for like American blonde ale. To me, you're way too sweet.
Right.
I just I don't dig it. It's just like bleh.
Yeah.
It's heavy. It's
How'd that
thick,
go, Stevie?
it's-
But with
Yeah.
fruit or something in it, it's good. you
So-
know?
so-
it's a good conveyor for a flavor.
They are definitely that.
Yeah. So
like this one.
what about the
different.
hops?
hops.
I think the bitterness is fine. I
Increase.
think the Magnum.
Yes.
I think is good.
I think
as
it's
set.
it's finishing hops on
Yeah.
this one.
Yeah.
I wouldn't even be. Now, honestly, it wouldn't hurt my feelings for you to bump the regular IBU.
Now, I will
Okay.
say that in comparison to, say, the Summer Lightning, which actually
I'm
had
not
a surprising amount of bitterness
Right.
for what it was, that would maybe be more like, instead of an ounce between 12 gallons, it'd be more like 2 ounces, possibly 3.
But if the beer's drier, how much of that hot bitterness
You're
is going
right.
to come through?
Well,
It might show
that's
up.
something you need to consider
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
I mean, those are all.
I'd say we start with 2 ounces for 12 and drier and find out, you know.
Yeah.
Well, those are all things that you have to consider when you're evaluating these beers. Is are we gonna? Well, if we and that's one of the things we talked a lot about is if you're going to really hone in you can't change a lot of variables at one time. You have to look at what you did last time, and you have to take a lot of these results even with a grain of salt.
Yeah. Well, like this, I think the good thing about this is that we started with the same recipe. What we really changed was yeast, right?
Right.
Now we found out that
Certain yeast
we
work.
like the grain bill.
Yeah.
It works pretty
It's
well.
It's pretty
you
close.
know.
If not exactly, it's pretty
Maybe
close.
you change the mash temperature and also change the hop and like choose and like
Right.
be refined on the yeast approach
Yeah.
now, you know. So
Yeah, and I mean, see, so and that's the thing that even for me, when I'm tasting these, I would probably go a whole different approach than what you guys are going to do, and I think we should maybe even try that. And because the reason I'm looking at it, I would say I would want it to go more Pilsner malt, and I would want to go lower in mash temperature, and then I'd like it to be a little more hop assertive. But that's just what I'm tasting.
That's 3 different things.
I was
to
going to say,
try-
but you
to
just want to
modify.
change one thing.
No, I'm saying if you're really trying to hone in
No,
something.
If you're
and
really
I
trying
agree
to
with
hone
you.
some, you should
Hey, if I could
one thing
change,
at a time.
if I could change one thing about my sex life, it'd be about 5. So,
well, we learned a lot from what we did do. We
Yeah.
had one recipe. We
Yeah.
tried 4 different yeasts, and we saw that what does this recipe do to 4 different yeasts?
are we talking
We
about
know,
my sex life again?
Well,
No.
exactly.
No,
I
we're
mean,
not.
4 different yeasts, depending, you know. But it's the same thing with like we know that the hop character is not right. So
Right.
that's easy to change, and that's a
Yeah.
basic change that even no matter what you do otherwise is going to make a big difference, and it's probably going to affect
Right.
it in a good way.
So let me ask you.
The malt's going to probably be more of a wobble on how much you're going to see, you know.
Yeah, I think. I personally think that if we're going to change any malt, increase the British Pale, reduce the Pilsner. But again, if we leave it as it is,
yeah,
at least
but you
that's-
want an English bitter, dude.
Yeah, no, I don't.
It's not going to be bitter.
Because what I'm about to say is, I think we've reduced 2 yeasts out of this. We've reduced the 3470 and taken that out, and we've reduced the British ale yeast and taken that out.
Yeah.
And I think we're left with the American ale yeast and the German ale yeast.
You know what though? I
You can also add to it,
I
yeah.
think you would be
We could
able. I think you could totally get away with this style of beer, with like a Nottingham, which
Yeah,
I
well-
think is a
Well,
ultra
okay,
clean
here.
yeast.
What do you think is better? To maybe boost the hops, keep the malt bill, boost the hops, keep maybe the German ale and with the USO5, and then choose another 2 that would
Yeah.
fit, and find out whether or not like that same approach still works the
Yeah,
same. That way, you're
I
not
think
changing
so.
quite as much
Right.
Yeah.
up front, and you're still making 4 different beers that
Right.
You know,
And
Well, and I think this is a great example that I want. I guess, and I don't want any of this to get lost because I think sometimes when people listen to us talk about this stuff, they're like, it's a bunch of damn numbers and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I think ultimately what we're trying to hone in for you guys out there is you can do the same approach with your IPAs, and I would be willing to
Yeah.
bet that it might, if you're trying to evaluate these beers, it might be better for you to do some bottle conditioning, okay? And the reason I say that is because you can bottle condition them and let them set for 3 or 4 weeks and then put them in the refrigerator, and you're going to have less time in between maturation, so you might actually have a little bit better idea when you're trying these against one another. So, and here's the reason I say that is because we got these 4 different samples here. Now, if you guys went and you brewed next week, right? and you brewed 4 more different samples, and then we try to compare these against these 4 samples, I don't think that's a great evaluation. Do you?
I don't think that comparing against these samples is right. I think that these samples need to be taken for what they are and then taken off the board.
And
and take
just
what
start
we can
again.
from them and then go to the next sample or the
Okay.
next set, which would be we know what we like and don't like. But all of these, none of these fit what we all feel like should be what the
Okay.
beer should
Right.
be.
We've learned from this, and we've applied that to the next set, and it's
Right.
the next
Yes.
set that
All right.
should be compared against
So
the
if we had
originals.
more hops, same grain bill, different yeast, and we found that out of that somehow the hop character was right, but maybe something in that was the grain bill was wrong, then we can change the grain
Yeah.
bill, you know,
Yeah.
or
Well,
like one of
and-
the yeasts, like let's just focus specifically on that one yeast, and now we'll change these other
Right.
things, you know.
And I think that's one of the biggest things I think a lot of home brewers do not do is they don't take great tasting notes.
Yes,
and
you
I
do
think-
need to do.
I think that's something, especially when you're developing a recipe, and I know this is always a popular topic. We talk about it a lot. Is that
These
you
are
know,
our tasting notes.
you
Nigel.
got to take tasting
It's
notes.
recorded
I mean-
right now.
Oh, well, I mean, you just basically go in. Okay, number 1 sample we did. It's this, and this. It's dry. I'd like it to be more of this. I'd like it to be more
Yes.
of that.
Yes.
This was fermented at this temperature.
Really think about it.
I mean, really think about it and make really detailed notes. This is what we did with this beer. This was the results, and here was the outcome. And if you have a process of that, and you have 30 sheets of this, you're going to be able to nail that.
Yes,
style.
you are. You will definitely nail it.
And I hate. I mean, I hate to say that, because I know a lot of guys are doing.
No,
I know a lot of guys are doing 5-gallon batches, but it doesn't. You could get 2-3 gallon carboys and try a bunch of different
or
stuff,
1
you
gallons
know?
even.
Yeah.
That's a little harder, but yeah.
You think Centennial's the right hop?
I kind of feel like it's still in the range, but I didn't like Citra in that one beer that we had.
No.
That was too much, you
Yeah.
know. Cascade feels like it's not going to be right to me for an American hop, which it's
You know,
supposed to have an American hop.
You know
so.
what hop I think would be great in this style of beer?
What's that?
Willamette. I think it would be fantastic.
That's
That's,
worth trying.
Willamette.
You don't think it's too English?
that's not English. It's
When you
American.
say
No,
Willamette.
I know it is. But I mean, of all the American
leans
hops,
that direction,
Yeah,
yeah.
of all the
No,
American hops,
no.
it's more English
No,
than any
no.
of them, right?
No, that's American.
I think that let's do it
Or
again.
Maybe Noble.
Focus on some of these characteristics, bring that back, and then see. So Stubby's got to go pee, and we're about to take a break here anyway, and we need to. So I think that's what we're going to do is we're going to focus on the malt bill. We're going to improve the hops, pick another couple of yeast, maybe choose the 2 that won the most, and go from that. See what we get. So guys, stay tuned, and we're going to come back and do some drawings. Cheers.
Well, let's hear for the drawings.
Win prizes.
I can't draw for shit.
Guess they led the way there. I feel a little bit more drunk than I think I should be at the moment.
ices?
I want to do the brew flavors. I'm actively interested.
Craft beer in my hand, pussy in my lap. I used to sip the 40, but I got up out the trap. Brewed up, I'm brewed up, I'm brewed up, I'm brewed up, I'm brewed up. Turned up, bitch, I'm lost in the sauce. Turned up, bitch, I'm lost in the sauce. Brewed up, I'm 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 brewed up. Turned up, bitch, I'm lost in the sauce. Turned up, bitch, I'm lost in the sauce. Bitch, I'm the man when I crack a can like Stone Cold, use both hands. Living right through that chug life. Craft brew is what I like. IPAs, that's all day. So strong, that shit cray. Rap shows and collect pay. Living fast, that's my way. Southside, that's my state. Yo, chick, that's my aim. Shotty B's and brew teas. Vans on, that's my way. More hops like Jordan. Sippin' Bud like y'all so plain. I'm so fly like so plain. Daniel son, my kicks crane. Y'all slow, better move lanes. I can't blame, but you so lame. Straight flex with no strain. Making plays, but this no game. Yeah, you like beer, but we not the same. I don't trap and I don't bang. Chug beers to go insane. Lost again and that's off, man. Doing what I wanna while you doing what you gotta. If it ain't that craft brew, then you ain't drinking proper. Getting cream by all means. Chasing dreams, stay in me. Just pass me a drink and just let me be. Brewed up, I'm brewed up, I'm brewed up, I'm brewed up, I'm brewed up. Turned up, bitch, I'm lost in the sauce. Turned up, bitch, I'm lost in the sauce. Brewed up, I'm 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 brewed up. Turned up, bitch, I'm lost in the sauce. Turned up, bitch, I'm lost in the sauce. Round two, that's more brew. Grab a case and roll through. Got the green roll too. Bad chicks, they coming too. My wrist chill, so the brew cold. Make it disappear when the can fold. Then clutch the mic with a strong hold. That boy Joe, he's so bold. Stay fresh when I'm toe throw. Party hard till I KO. You know I stay on my J.O. Talking fly to your H.O. But you know I rap for that pay though. My skill amp, keep a chick damp. Stay stuntin' with no ramp. Haters flexin' but catch cramps. Like the rock, I'm the people's champ. Thoughtful thoughts on my daddy top. She give me top in the parking lot. Then make it drop on my lollipop. We poppin' bombers on motor bras. We goin' hard, spittin' swiping cars. Beating the beat up and leaving scars. Then chugging the brew in the Uber car. Craft beer in my hand, pussy in my lap. I used to sip the 40, but I got up out the trap. Craft beer in my hand, pussy in my lap. I used to sip the 40, but I got up out the trap. Brewed up, I'm brewed up, I'm brewed up, I'm brewed up, I'm brewed up. Turned up, bitch, I'm lost in the sauce. Turned up, bitch, I'm lost in the sauce. Brewed up, I'm brewed up, I'm brewed up, I'm brewed up, I'm brewed up. Turned up, bitch, I'm lost in the sauce. Turned up, bitch, I'm lost in the sauce.
Really good. So what are we gonna talk about this week?
Greg, what we got? Oh, we got Tennessee beers too.
But if you want to try something to start, we've got Northeast IPA. That's actually pretty good.
I mean,
I think that the ones
Oh yeah, you made it.
3 minutes.
Start talking again.
What? What was the score?
By the way, I'm sticking you the Bob and
I'm so sorry.
don't worry.
But,
about
you know,
bro.
it was probably the worst day to record, so. I probably thought they were worse. All the crush is the
I
worst
feel
part
sorry
anyway.
for that man.
Did you see that?
He's like, I know about it. I'm just gonna hug him. Right?
Pull it out of the bag. Oh, I mean, later. But yes. Pull it out of the bag.
Did we ever regain Facebook? It's going now?
Okay.
Because it wasn't going for a long time.
Oh, I know. Yeah, we got a countdown and everything.
It's always that one part that sounds like it's inside of the building. It freaks me out.
Hey, what happened to I thought
Right up on it.
Just close enough. Just right before you're about to do it.
think of it as a big black penis right in your face.
So who
We gotta
knows
talk right
what
in
that
there.
is like?
And all my
That would be
surprise,
stubby.
Yeah, that'll be
Oh.
don't get him excited.
Well, this is why I'm here. Hi.
Hey. Hey.
Oh, hi. A whole second to you.
Or you can come in with howdy.
Howdy, guys.
Yeah, but I still don't see us live on Facebook.
Or just, what up?
Oh, yeah.
Stop censoring us, Greg.
What?
All right.
All right, guys. Good break. Thank you, guys.
Are we back? No, we're not back.
so we're-
5.
We're back.
Oh, no,
back?
we're back.
All right, well, the countdown
We're
was
totally
back.
right back, man. So, Facebook sucks
One of those.
because we can't evidently do
I'm
live
not sure you can
broadcasts
legally
there
say
anymore.
that, but okay.
Are they going to sue me?
They might. No, they won't.
So anyway, we got a little bit of fun stuff to talk about tonight, but before that, we got one of our newest employees, Cedric, down here. Man, the guy's he's a hell of a worker. We're really glad to have him part of the to the team.
You can wave, but it doesn't come through on radio, dude.
Oh, right. Learning curve here, I guess.
This is Cedric minus the entertainer part.
Yeah.
Yes, he's not.
Wow.
Oh. I don't
How
know.
do you know he's not going to be entertaining?
Hey,
Well,
dude,
I always
think-
say
I
that
think
when
he's
I
pretty
introduce
entertaining.
myself.
We're going to assume
Well,
that he's not
yeah, well-
entertaining.
Yeah.
We're gonna let me prove my worth first.
Yeah, exactly. We'll let him prove his worth. There you go.
I just said to the guys that I'm upset. I am no longer the coolest guy on the show now that Cedric's on it. So.
Dude,
They
with that
went
accent,
lull that has been so the same for a while.
Americans love accents.
Yes, they do.
Unless they're called Come and Brew It Radio guys, and then they
Talk shit about
absolutely
you.
bail on you anytime you can.
Bail? Or we just rail on
Yeah.
you?
Well, that
Rail,
too.
rail,
But I mean,
yeah.
but bail, rail, nail, anything. You
Yes,
know.
yes.
Oh,
that's
yeah,
true.
we'll nail you, too, by the way.
Yeah, yeah. We like doing
Let's not
that.
talk
You-
about that
you
on the
couldn't
radio.
afford-
Thank you.
You couldn't afford it.
You couldn't afford it. So anyway, we're going to come back with this, and I think I'd like to continue on a little bit about. Let's just kind of finish off like what we were talking about, but I think it's really important for you guys when you're developing recipes, and I think this is one of the things that's really important for even like craft breweries, and I think a lot of small craft breweries really don't do this. And I've always thought that this was well, and I don't necessarily know how it is in other states. But I would say that in the state of Texas, you know, for the longest time, one of the things that's a big deal here is tours, right? And this is one of the things I've always kind of like inferred with, you know, some of these guys. I'm like, hey, man, why don't you do 2 or 3 different variations of the beers, just like what you guys did?
Yeah.
And have some good-looking chicks go out there, or good-looking dudes, or whatever, and go out and poll people.
Right.
You know,
Say that
Sample-
Well, it's
sample
it's
people
only
see
the
what it was.
good-looking dudes that poll people, by the way.
good-looking dudes are definitely underrepresented in the polling
Mhm, yeah.
sections
Right.
of that. I'm going to
But-
say that already.
What was that, Nigel?
but I'm just
I
saying,
didn't say a word. I was just shocked and stunned at your.
Polling.
But I'm just saying that why couldn't they go out there and just ask people like 5 different questions? If it's a new version, go, hey, do you like this beer? Hey, would you purchase this beer? Would you finish this pint? I mean, would you look for this at the grocery store? I mean, just simple things like that from a standpoint of a commercial brewery. Why couldn't you do that thing? And that, I think that would give you a lot of feedback. I mean, because if I'm a nerdy home brewer and I go in and I'm doing an evaluation or a tasting for a commercial brewery, I'm not the average person. I'm not the, I have my opinions preformed before I ever go in there and taste.
So let me ask you then: how do brewers decide what comes out to the public?
Well, that's a
and
good
what doesn't?
question, and I think ultimately, you've heard me say this a million times before. I think craft breweries are going to undo themselves,
Right.
And the
Yeah.
reason I say that is because they feel a lot of pressure in the market to always have something new.
You have to.
Always try to, and I think a lot of times these small craft breweries think they have to have something new every week, otherwise they're going to get their tap pulled. And I think what you have to realize is you have to kind of go back and reset yourself and go, okay, it doesn't matter if I have different shit every week. It matters if it's good quality. You know what I mean? I mean, ultimately, at the end of the day, what am I going to buy? I'm going to buy stuff that I really like to drink or I like to enjoy. That doesn't necessarily mean that I want to drink that same beer all the time. It tells me when I'm a craft beer drinker that I know when I buy that beer, it's going to be good and I'm going to enjoy it and I'm going to like it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you're going to
And-
continue to consume it.
So
yeah, and one of the things that I thought was, I think was kind of neat, and I know I'm kind of a homer because I'm good friends with Fritz, but I thought for them, this is kind of groundbreaking with these 2 new beers with the mango and the chili peppers and the lime
Adios Pantalones.
and the
Great
Bolita de mango. Man, those beers are delicious, and
They are.
I think if they can. It's something unique. It's something different. It's not something I'm going to buy every time I go to the grocery store.
Yeah.
But if I'm in the mood for it, that's something I'm going to buy.
Yeah.
You know?
It's something whether or not you're going to make it your everyday beer or if it's going to be your
Right.
every other beer.
And the Paleta de Mango could be an everyday beer, let's face it.
Yeah, it could be.
Mhm.
But I'm just saying that I think that's kind of, especially that brewery, really stepping outside the box.
So
Really?
But one of the things that I've noticed from those guys over the years is they have changed up the way that they do their beers. Is because for years, and they're turning out the best beers they've ever made, is because they are going through that evaluation.
right.
They're going in
and
they're
they're evolving as they go.
before they ever release a beer, they might go through 10, 15, 20 iterations of a beer
Yeah.
before they actually put it out to the public. Well, I mean, not the public. They're doing it at the brewery. but
Yeah, they
then-
put it out in beta
yeah,
tests.
It's
yeah,
before
beta
they
test.
go ahead and cans
on
and
the tour.
bottles.
Yeah.
Which I think, man, what a great way to do things. I mean, you really got to be able
Which
to
is kind of what we're doing on the podcast tonight because
Exactly.
we're putting these golden nails to beta tests.
right.
Really.
And I think this is, I mean, not only as a small brewery, but as a home brewer, you got to do this too.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're truly,
Right.
Yeah. If you're trying to hone in on a style or a certain beer that you,
yeah. And I think this is paramount in the fact that and I think this is extremely important because I don't think this particular style, especially, the British Golden Ale, is not really well known. I would imagine that we had a great sample size of the beers. I'm sure there's a lot more. I'm not sure.
and I don't know of many more 15 beer flight samples or 14 beer flight samples of British Golden Ales. And again, we can't all put them in as British Golden Ales over British Golden Ales, but again,
Right.
whether it'll fit or not is another thing.
Great.
Yeah.
Okay.
But
Very tangy.
we've got as much exposure through those beers than anybody has had in the United States. I think.
Oh yeah,
I
Right.
think,
there's not very many
Yeah.
people that
and
have
so
had that exposure.
and so.
Thanks to Nigel.
Oh, you're welcome. So
That's why we give you a bunch of shit,
right. So me and Greg can now
'Cause we love you.
reconvene.
and you bring us beer.
We're gonna, we'll come back to this for sure.
We'll come back on this, and
It's a style worth evaluating on. I think more so than a lot of other styles.
Yeah.
Like pale ale is a pale ale, whatever. But
Well, there's no
nobody
history
tries
to
these,
there's no history to it. I
we
mean,
got to try these.
yeah, we did, and there's nothing to stop me next time on my trip over bringing more back, and we can reconvene even further. And
That would be wonderful.
Well, and I think this would be something interesting to do if we could do this. Is that work on this recipe a little bit
Right.
yeah,
and get it to where we think it is good or within the style guidelines or what we remember, and then actually bring them back and then try our versions against
Right.
right. So
a second go around.
so
Does
Greg-
that make
Different ways
sense?
to go with.
Greg and I
go
have
with
to
that.
take a kick in the balls from all of you, like, and say these were crap beers. That we
Okay.
put
Oh,
on.
not at all. Not at all.
No, I don't think they were
Yeah.
crap beers at
Well,
all.
34
Two different ways
cents.
to go with this.
Right,
crap.
yeah,
One,
Right.
try and match it with the
Give that
proper style.
give that to Cedric. He won't care.
Yeah, give it to Cedric.
Thanks,
If
you want some, it's in there.
He won't hate it. He'll drink anything.
Match it with what we like the most.
No, and that's it. Is learn what we've learned, take it to the next step, bring in some more yeast, take out some yeast, bring in more hops, take out some hops, whatever it may be, and come back and we'll rediscuss this in.
Yeah,
2 months time.
Yeah, it's gonna take a little while,
You know what
yeah.
I think is funny is I would like to do, and I know it's going to be hard to compare it to what you guys have brewed because after tasting these, I'd like to try my own version of this.
So let's propose
We'll do
this. We've talked about a big brew at the shop. Let's do a big brew goal now.
Yeah, that'd
Yeah.
be fun.
Well, aren't we going to do a sort of podcast Big Brew here where we're going to...
I don't know if we'll do the podcast part of it because
Well-
then we have
It's a long day.
No, I think Greg's got some ingredients that we're going to draw on, and we're actually...
we are
yeah,
going to coming up in this part.
So
what
let's
what
do
we're
that.
moving on to
Yeah,
would
let's
be
talk about that a little bit.
We
'cause
have
I'm
a
really
large
curious.
variety of spices available here at the shop, and we've been wanting to try some of these things, see what we can make from them, and make some kits with them, those kind of things. And I think what we're going to try to do is we have Iron Mash locally here,
Yeah.
which is like Iron Chef. You get your variety of ingredients, make something with them. So like what we want to do tonight is, and what I did was I chose a bunch of spices that are more in the range of edible, beer-worthy spices, not necessarily
beer edible.
edible in terms of like
Nigel's
they're
done
not
with the
meant
spice.
for bitters, like to make bitters
That
out
is
of
grapefruity.
or to make something like you don't really want to use probably like the what is it slow berries for beer necessarily, where they work for gin, we didn't use everything off the wall, but we have a lot of stuff to try. And what I was thinking was like, let's go ahead and each of us choose 3.
Okay.
And as we want to, we're going to try to, in a timely manner, all brew these at once and bring them back in, find out what we like about these as we go. We don't have to use all 3, but our goal would be hopefully to possibly use all 3 if possible,
In the
based
same
off of what
beer,
you
or
choose,
just different?
and the same beer, and any beer you
Oof.
choose.
Yeah.
Okay.
This is up to you. Once you get
Style's
your
up to you.
spices, style, whatever your base beer is, that's up to you.
Right.
So figure that out.
3
Bring it back
spices?
in.
Oof.
Up to
3
you.
spices is
I'm
pretty...
interested.
You don't have to use all 3, but if you can,
But
Why not?
should we put the rule on there that you do have to use all three? It just depends on whatever amount you want.
I
to
don't
use.
think you can use all three. If you get three,
It would depend.
absolute.
because
Weird.
then
Eric
why,
earlier
then why
said
draw
that,
three?
like
Why draw
maybe if
three?
anything, like you got
2 out
something
of
a
3?
peppercorn, throw 1 peppercorn in.
Right,
Well, for a
exactly.
kit, we're not going to do that. That's
Yeah,
one
that's
thing that's
true.
true.
That's true.
But our goal would be to make it use. If you can use all three, go for it. If you can't, don't. I mean, if you're lucky,
if you can't, then
draw
you get docked. Let's just put
cocoa nibs, coconuts, and vanilla. Well, you know that you can work those together.
Yeah.
But you don't have the same. Like,
I'm
if
just
you
going to
draw
say, if you don't use those peppercorns or whatever, you're
cocoa
going to get
nibs,
docked.
peppercorns, and something else, maybe you can use 2 of them together and get something pretty interesting. The goal is to make something interesting.
If I'm drawing and one of my ingredients is a
Why do you
like,
sound like you're in a cave, Eric?
because, only
cave.
because I'm backing off
But-
because my mic's so hot.
Bec-
But if you draw and you get like a Trojan condom or something, right? Then
we don't have
then-
that in here.
Okay, but
sure?
we're
Sell that in the
hypothetical. We're
store.
hypothetical. So if I get the Trojan condom, but I don't want to use that because like the spermicidal lubricant kind of gives you off flavors. Well,
It would totally
then-
kill your
Then
head
I
retention.
don't.
Where is your mind at? Where is your
What?
mind
Would
at? If
you
you're
just-
using that?
No.
Would you
As a
just follow
hypothetical.
me? Would you just follow me? Okay, so
don't have
if you
to
don't
use
want
all
to use
three.
it, okay, but then why did I even draw that?
2 out of 3.
Why did I even
There
draw
are
the
3
Trojan
to
condom?
take an option from. That's the start of this. We're going to do
Okay,
this
all
again.
right.
The
It's
point
gonna
is to
make
do
us
this
step
more than
outside
once.
So do we
the
have
box.
to use 1 out of 3 or 2 out of 3?
Yes,
Or
at least
what?
one.
Okay, just
Possibly,
1 out of 3.
We preferred 3 out of 3.
Okay.
If you can use 2 out of 3,
All I'm wanting to know is if you don't use all 3, are you going to be
Think of it this
Are you
way.
going to be called a pussy or
we
not?
do
Or are you-
we do Iron Mash.
All right,
here
you
as
start
a-
off with 0 kicking the balls. If you use
yeah,
3,
that's what
if
I
you
wanna
use
know,
3
Nigel, thanks.
If you use 3 spices, you stay at 0.
I'm going with I'm going
How many
with
kicks in
3
the balls if I'm not good?
because 3 is a good chance to give you options. Hopefully, you can use more than one. It's just like Iron Mash.
I
Typically,
thought you
people
called
don't
them
use all
bollocks
3.
anyway.
So
Well, I was
a kick in the
Americanizing
bollocks.
it
The
for-
bollocks is the ass.
Hey,
I was
ne-
Americanizing it for
never mind
for
the bollocks.
the audience.
This is the Come and Brew It podcast.
just think of it in terms like you have options. If you can use all
Okay.
3, use all 3. If not, don't.
Okay, let's
But-
draw.
Let's start
try.
this drawing.
But before we start that drawing, we have
Let's do
another
the-
drawing that we
yeah.
need to do, and
This
we're
is
going to
more
start it
important.
first. It's the patron only. It's a patron prize that we've been doing for February.
Yes.
So,
Yeah, we're going to
Stubby,
do this every week.
Reach into the
Okay, so
reach
Choose.
into the small bag there.
Nether
so what
regions
what
of this
what
bag.
level do you have to be to
this
be in
is
the drawing?
5. This is
$5
5 and above.
more,
yeah.
Yeah.
So this is which prize was this for?
I think it's
our
$25 gift certificate.
$25 gift certificate.
Nice.
Ooh.
Yeah.
So if you're thinking about backing the show, then this is a good time to start getting in on the
Yes,
Patreon.
exactly.
And we're doing this once a month.
Yes, this is the once a month. So.
All right.
So
I know he was watching tonight, so Aaron Rogers, you got a $25 gift certificate.
Hey, congratulations.
Aaron, yeah.
All right.
The Green Bay quarterback.
Aaron will be in touch with you.
Former
Yes.
quarterback of the Green
Yeah.
Bay
You
Packers.
did
Yeah,
not
the,
fuck up tonight.
the discount double check.
Yeah, the Green
Yeah.
Bay Packers. Wow, I didn't know.
Okay,
love
so
that
every
series.
month for you guys that are 5 and above, we're going to be doing this. So that's the start of this. It's not going to be the same every month, but we're going to work on this. All right, now our next concept for this, we also haven't done this yet, but we just want to run through these so that they're done. Our post-break coupon code of the week. After
Discount
all of
double
that,
check coupon.
Nigel 99 is for 99-cent Muttons Marisauder, one per customer, up to 30 pounds.
I've made.
Ooh.
I'm now.
Up
I'm
to
now.
30 pounds.
I'm now a discount code.
You are
are
now a
just-
discount
I've
code.
made it.
Yes.
It's because it's your birthday, by
I've
the
now
way.
something-
there.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Which I'd like to go ahead and say it's Nigel's birthday right now.
It is Nigel's
It
birthday.
is.
I'm 27.
I don't know how to sing Happy Birthday in English.
27.
Don't sing
He's
it. Then.
Yeah, how do you do that in British? How do you sing Happy Birthday in
Don't
British?
sing it at all.
to you.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Nigel. Happy birthday to you. And we'll keep making plans.
Happy birthday, bloke.
My birthday was going great until then.
I think it's birthday.
Birthday.
All right, we're going to save the patron-only prize keyword until after this part, but we're going to start with the
dear.
spices. So
So-
who wants to go first?
So how many people are participating
So
in this
hang on.
group?
Yeah,
We're gonna do everybody in here because everybody seems to be on board with this.
plus Brandon, plus Mikey.
Stubby, I don't know about you yet.
Are you really?
You're on board, but I don't know if you want to
Board
brew
for
it.
what?
To brew a beer with one
Spices.
of the
With our
Woo!
spices.
Well,
All right.
I figure whatever Stubby chooses, someone in the store is going to brew for him.
Well,
There you go.
Nice.
That
Well,
might-
he can make the decision.
that
That
might
automatically puts me in.
that might be Mikey's option, but I think Brandon should be included in
I
this
Do you have
too.
chose
three?
Cedric to
Do you
brew
have-
for Stubby.
Do you have three?
There you go.
I
Maybe you
chose
have-
one.
Chris started.
I better get
Alright,
in
so
there
I'm
and
choosing
draw
three?
before it's all gone.
Yeah, three. Choose
Okay,
three.
three at a time.
Three?
All right, if he gets all the three good ones,
Go ahead
and
and
I
get
get all
three.
the three crap ones, I ain't gonna be happy.
Don't let him choose
Two.
everything before I get a chance.
No, you get to wait. That's the way it works.
You're in the cave. You get.
Okay, you got
last.
three.
I got 3.
You want to get in on this? Cedric?
Horrible.
No, yes, no. You don't have to if you want to.
No,
Are
are
you
you
gonna
gonna
be able to
do
brew
it? Are you gonna do it?
If you can brew it, we'll do it.
You got to brew it if you're gonna do it.
If I'm declared supreme leader, I would do it.
Supreme leader.
I mean,
Yes.
I like what I've got so far
All
here.
right, keep a hold on it for a second.
Ingredient 1, vibranium.
Vibranium.
Oh,
It's gonna be the most
Vibranium.
expensive beer ever.
Stubby doesn't watch
Oh,
movies.
licorice root.
I
Awesome.
Ooh.
I
You
hope.
got- do you have three?
I hope to God I don't get the Trojan. comment.
Bitter orange peel. And
Eric?
lavender.
That's gonna piss me off so
It's gonna be a tasty beer.
That's going to be a flavor combination.
What was it? Lavender and what?
Lavender,
Do you have three?
licorice root, and bitter orange peel.
much. God.
Well, no, one at a time. Don't look at them yet. Just
Yeah,
choose
yeah,
them.
just-
That's
Just
a rough
choose them.
combination.
Don't be like choosy.
I already have the
about
licorice
what it
beer,
is. Just
so
grab
I'm
and
good with
go.
Cedric,
Get
do you have all three?
Just be on your
got
way.
Three?
You
There
got
you go.
three.
Be on your
Okay.
way.
Okay.
All right, got it.
I'm gonna get like 5
You
and
have
choose
three?
3.
No, you're not.
No, just grab. That's the point of this. It's for fun, man.
Well, can we combine our
You have
beers?
three?
Possibility of choosing
Two.
something you haven't done before.
Greg,
Three.
Greg, pick mine out. You're far way too far.
Honey powder,
But that's disqualification.
Honey powder.
pink peppercorns. I can deal with that.
Okay.
All right.
Can we trade?
And mulling spices.
Okay, we should go.
No trading.
Wow.
No trading.
I hate freaking mulling spice.
Well, according to
all
Greg,
of
you
us.
don't have to use it.
You don't
which-
have to.
I'm
But
not
if it
using
works,
Which
why
is
not use it?
terrible. I think we should use every one of them.
No, I'm
If
not
you
using
want to be
mulling.
an Iron Chef, you got to use
Yeah,
all
if
of them.
you want to be an
right.
Iron Chef, that's exactly my
I mean,
point.
if the
Thank you.
judging panel is going to
You don't
Iron
want
Chef, they didn't
successful?
say no. Our secret ingredient is squid ink. You don't have to use.
Hey, you know
squid
what?
ink.
I
They
think
didn't
I
do
think I
that.
could use a honey powder and pink peppercorn.
The point here
I'm
is
not-
to
I'm
expand
not-
your mind a little bit and make
I'm
sure
not using
you
the
can
mulling
do something
Mind,
different.
bro.
Oh, is
Just
that?
think about how you could use.
Is
honey
that why my
powder. I mean,
ingredients
it's a
are-
sugar, dude. I mean, what
Well,
kind
yeah,
of
that's
flavor
what
might
I'm
come
saying.
from it?
I think I could use the honey powder and the pink peppercorn, not the mulling spice.
All right, Greg. Are you picking yours or are you picking
Does it
Brandon?
count
Mine,
if
Brandon's,
you
and
use it just for
Mikey's.
priming
Okay.
Right
sugar?
now.
Ooh.
Okay, so Stubby,
Not looking.
your
Just
three
hang on.
ingredients
Are
are.
we going to send this as
Hang
a
on.
text
What-
message to
what are-
Mikey and
Hang on.
Brandon?
Let's draw them all first.
Oh,
There you
I
go.
thought we
Wait,
are. I'm
no,
sorry. I thought
we're
we
not
were.
all drawn yet.
All right.
What
So
do
who
you
wants
have?
to start with what they have?
No,
I will.
Start with Nigel.
Hang on. Okay. Are you got everything, Greg?
Got everything.
All right. So mine are cocoa nibs,
Yeah,
Bastard.
Hate you.
lemongrass,
that's a
Bastard.
good one too.
Yeah.
They work together.
and 4-color peppercorn blend.
Ah,
You know, you have at least 2 to 3 things. to
Nigel
work with.
wins.
That can be a very tasty beer.
Depending on what you put it in.
I can put it in English, but no.
right.
Expand it.
All right.
That would be
so-
one
so that
interesting
makes
English
me
bitter.
next.
Yes,
Chris?
that-
I've
yes,
got
Chris.
cinnamon, cayenne,
Bastard.
and lime peel.
All of
All
those.
right,
Those
well,
work.
And
Yeah.
I can already think of something, and I'm going to have to steal it from someone else's recipe.
That doesn't matter.
Just
make a beer
modify
that
one
works.
It's
thing.
going to be
It's
delicious.
Yeah.
Make a beer that works.
Cedric, what do you got?
Oh, that leads it to me. So I got lavender. Don't laugh yet. I'm not done. Calm down. It gets better.
It's going to be a purple beer.
Lavender is nice. Lavender, licorice root,
Yuck.
And bitter orange peel.
All right, so you're using.
So do you want to
taste
second
like
guess
soap.
yourself from
Did you say bigger orange peel or
Bitter orange peel.
Okay, I was like,
So you're using
tastes
one
like
out of your 3 then.
No, I'm gonna
He's
be a
using
champ and
0 out
use
of
all
3.
3.
All right.
I'm gonna use the trifecta.
All right, Greg, what you got?
Wow.
All right, mine were if I oh okay.
went down.
Chipotle chili,
What went down?
Virginia. Just
super
lost.
citrate orange peel,
All right.
Ooh.
Hang on. So you got
and grapefruit peel. So I
Say-
got a lot of
Ooh.
citrus and some spicy.
say that again.
That's not
Chipotle
bad.
chili,
Yeah.
super citrate orange peel,
Uh-huh.
and grapefruit peel.
Wow, that's pretty good,
That's an
man.
IPA
That's
right
a good
there.
one.
Yeah.
That's
That's
nice.
something weird right there. That's for sure.
I
Because there's
can't
a lot
wait
of
to
smoke.
taste
That'd be
that.
like a smoky IPA.
Oh, I can't wait to taste that. That sounds good.
I might.
Okay.
We'll come back to Brandon
So-
and Mikey's last.
Yeah. Let's do those last.
So anyway,
Stubby?
I have honey powder, which is basically dehydrated honey,
Right.
and pink peppercorn, which okay, that's cool. And mulling spices, I'm not using that shit.
Oh, come on,
I'll
Stubby.
use it.
No,
Come
I'm
on.
not using it.
What's wrong with mulling spices?
But you know what? I think I can make a really nice, interesting saison
With mulling
with
spices.
honey powder and pink peppercorns.
Okay.
Yeah.
Honey powder is what I call my my wife after a shower.
Eric, what do you got?
I have
Does your wife listen to the podcast?
TMI. I don't really want to know what.
no,
where
but
that
we
came
do
from.
shower together often. Okay, so my 3. Yeah, let's just keep it.
Mental pictures,
Yeah,
dude.
keep a mental picture. So I have sweet orange peel, sage,
Sage is good.
Oh,
and
sage sucks.
pasilla chili powder. So
Pasilla. Yeah.
Huh.
What
So
kind
it's
of
gonna
flavor
be-
profile is that?
Pasilla is a good.
it's going to be a
Pasilla.
sweet Italian Mexican thing.
Well, Pasilla
Okay.
is not really spicy, so I think that would be a good one. Yeah.
Well, then I win. Okay, all right.
All right,
That-
so
Not
that
yet,
has to
not
be
yet.
seen.
now we also have, if Mikey's on board with playing and he has time,
Mikey doesn't get choice.
it's been a while since we've seen him. He has dried
And
tart
pick
cherries.
for Brandon too, by the way.
I
And-
have it.
hang-
And
I have it.
Jeremy.
Hang on, Mikey has
If
what?
Jeremy wants to do it, we can do one too. So Mikey has dried tart cherries, curry
Ooh.
powder, either the hot or regular version, and sea
Interesting.
salt.
Oh,
That
boy.
sounds wonderful,
Oh,
actually.
he's
A
the worst
current
person to get
goza.
sea salt.
I just farted and tasted his beer. By the way,
Brandon has star anise, vanilla, and cedar chips.
whoa.
All right, so
Pull
do you
through
think
Jeremy.
if Jeremy wants to do it,
Jeremy's probably game.
Let's go ahead and pull one for Jeremy. Jeremy makes
Actually, I
great
think
beer.
that could,
so.
I think Brandon could do something with that. Honestly,
I think so
Probably.
too.
the cedar and the
Especially with
And the
new
vanilla.
house.
and the vanilla.
Yeah.
Anise and vanilla go together.
I think there's a vagina in there somewhere.
oh, he just made the vanilla vagina. beer.
was
All
that
right.
was that a salmon
It
cedar
was-
plank?
It was I
Kinda.
get there before somebody else does.
Jeremy's options got a little limited. He has chicory root,
Ooh.
Chicory root's good.
Ooh.
but he
Yeah.
also has tangerine peel and lemon juice powder.
Oh, those last two.
Interesting.
I can
Yeah.
already see a good beer with that.
You
Because
could- you could
chicory
actually
make
do
a
something
really
with
good coffee beer.
Yes, exactly.
That's
and then
also
you
an
have
IPA.
a little bit of
With the
citrus
little
with
citrus
it.
in it,
Oh,
yes.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
can see it already. It's going to be a good beer.
Now the whole
I'm with you.
Citrusy and coffee.
yeah,
the key to this-
absolutely.
Yeah, totally.
I don't see it.
I'm with you. Oh, I'm with you, man. I can totally see that.
The key to this is if you can use all of them together to make something really crazy and interesting, then do so. If not, just do what you can do based
Hey,
off the. This
you know
is
what?
we have some really great ingredients on the shelf, and this goal is to make some use of these great ingredients that
Yeah.
are just sitting there waiting to be used, man.
You know what? And here's the thing. I will be honest with you. I will use the mulling spice. It'll be 1/10 of 1 ounce.
Well, it's because they're your favorite.
No, they
Yeah,
suck.
no, you love
I
them.
think mulling
He
spice
molds
ruins
everything.
a beer.
He does.
And because every time
You're
at
not wrong.
Christmas, everybody goes, "Oh, it's whatever freaking Christmas beer," and they put a ton of that shit in it, and it just ruins it.
I think the important thing is here to allow us guys that are going to brew it, but also
Okay,
allow-
I'll use the mulling spice, and I'll just pull the freaking clove out.
good luck with that. Yeah, you pull all the
That'll
clove
work.
out of the
Yeah,
mulling
have
spice.
fun.
Have
Still
fun
too
doing
much.
that. But I think the important thing is here to know that we, as the brewers, as well as the listeners, can take any of these spices and
Incorporate it.
get out of styles, get out of fixed boundaries, and just turn around and make beer.
And I got to tell you, it wasn't this year, but it was last year. I really harped on this real hard because I thought this is really an interesting thing to try. Is in our Iron Mash competition that we have every year. We have 20, 30 teams, and every year it's kind of like, hey, you just show up with your stuff and you brew whatever you have presented to you, right? But you always have a special ingredient that you have to use, at least one of them, and declare it, right? You have to declare your style. And I got to tell you, the best beers I've ever tasted in Iron Mash, what we did was we did traditional brewing spices. And I thought these were the most unique beers.
Rose hips.
Interesting. You know,
heather tips.
Heather. We
had
had
lemongrass.
We had lemongrass. Sage.
Right.
Those were all in the bag.
Marjoram. Those are all traditional.
All that grew it stuff.
Yeah, but they're traditional. I mean, hops are relatively new to brewing.
Yeah,
I mean, over the grand scheme of things, but
especially if you look at the historical brewing types.
Yeah,
we hated you. Just know that.
Well, I know that, but I got to tell you, the beers that we had, I was blown away with because I helped judge them, and I got to tell you, man, these are really unique, really good, really. I don't think we really had a bad beer. They were just way different. I don't know if.
Yeah.
Now we did against my recommendation. There was still bittering hops. I didn't want to use any hops at all. I just wanted to do all brewing spices. And for you guys that aren't familiar with it, is that back in the old days, is they didn't use hops. They used other spices to bitter the beer with, and it necessarily. Well, why do you use a bittering spice and or hop? Is because you're trying to balance the beer where it's not so sweet. Because if you just have a beer that doesn't have any kind of bittering agent in it, it's pretty sweet, right?
Super
or syrupy,
sweet.
syrupy. So before the monks in Germany started using hops to bitter the beer with, they used all these different spices traditionally. And I think, man, isn't it only last 600, 700 years they've been using hops in beer?
I
mean, it's not that long ago.
600. Yeah.
Only.
Yeah, but we've been brewing beers since the beginning of civilization. So
Yes.
Basically.
there's not been hops a long time.
Only 12 times my lifespan.
But
Now,
anyhow,
I did want to ask though to Greg. Now, what is this super? It's like a Fruity Pebbles on steroids. What is this beer?
Yeah, we're trying
us?
a few beers as we do this. I brought some beers back from Tennessee. Right now, all we've opened, we're keeping it limited. All I've opened is a couple of beers from Tailgate Brewing. They're on the
this
northwest
is Tailgate.
northwest side of town. The first one was the
Nashville?
grapefruit IPA. That's what you guys tried first. That's
It
the more
smells
common-
like Fruity Pebbles on steroids.
The
It really
second
does.
one
Kind of,
was the
they're out of Nashville.
out of Nashville.
Not
Look
sure I
at
got a second one.
look
The
at
second
these
one
sticks.
is basically a cat's litter box. It's really
Yeah,
cat
look
pee.
at these sticks.
Okay, then I got the
what it
second
is.
one. I didn't get the
That's
first one.
Yeah.
other than what they
Where's
Mikey
my
originally
camera?
described as the IPA was the litter box.
So this is the first one? Or
This is the second
Oh,
one.
this
Look
is
at
the
these
second
sticks from Tailgate Brewing Company. We went in and tried some of their beers. I've got another one here that's a Berliner Weiss. I'll
Ooh.
show you the. This is this beer.
Those are some impressive sticks.
Yeah, that's the one. That's the one that's really
Right.
cat pee.
Nice and hazy.
That is that.
Save
But
that
delicious.
Berliner Weiss.
And then the first one was the grapefruit IPA. And we found this in Albertsons there in Nashville when we were just grabbing some beers and whatnot.
Really?
That grapefruit IPA, you could pour over some cereal.
Yeah, this is
and-
good beer. But it also, to me, it had a really distinct grapefruit character that was different from, say, like grapefruit sculpin.
You know,
That was sort of oniony still.
It's-
Like this is straightforward with like the fruity grapefruitness.
You know what?
It
Like
retains
to me,
the
Greg,
sweetness, is what I.
it tastes like what you get from a dining hall in the military. You get a grapefruit with a cherry on top.
You think?
With nothing on top of it is what it tastes like.
Insight.
It tastes like
straight
grapefruit,
grapefruit, yeah.
but there's a slight little bit of cherry and a little bit of
something
exposed to the air taste to it.
I thought it was let's see, West Coast IPA, strong notes of lemongrass and mango. We generally add grapefruit to this beer to pungent citrus kick.
Yeah, it's
58
grapefruit.
IBU. It's Amarillo, Columbus, Centennial, and Summit. Summit, I can't remember what Summit tastes like, but I can say for Amarillo, you get some stone fruit. So,
It's
and
grapefruit with a little bit of like an earthy flavor with
Right.
a little bit of sweetness.
Apparently, Summit tastes like Barney my pebbles.
Well, I mean, according to our producer, yes.
I thought Tailgate, we enjoyed their beer. That's the only place that we actually stopped at there, and I know there's a lot of there are several decent breweries in Nashville, and just we couldn't make it with the way we were working with family there. But it was one of those things where, like, you know what, knowing, like, trying that beer, I was like, this is worth going out to. The weirdest thing about the place, I thought it was a good brewery. They're very liberal about their pours on their samples.
Oh, yeah?
They
For a
want gun
decent price.
control on their...
And you write down what you want. They have a lot of different variety. The only weird thing, we're sitting there, and I'm pretty sure there's mining in Tennessee because of the hills and the mountains. But
Rocky Top 10.
man, at one point we walked in and we sat down, and there was a sudden rumble. Like, I was like, "What the f was that, man?" I mean, this, like, everybody, like, we were shocked by it, whatever the hell it was, because it felt like there was an explosion outside the building or underneath the building, and nobody else really reacted. And then nobody seemed panicked or anything else. And we're like, okay, well, I guess that was either something weird happened in the basement or something happened outside. And then I went outside, and it smelled like gunpowder and asphalt mixed together. And I thought, mining, perhaps?
I'm sorry, I farted in the control room. That was
it smells the same as that.
It wasn't
what's
active
funny?
fermentation.
Gunpowder and asphalt.
I got a funny story. My dad used to call me asphalt all the time.
Now it's shortened to
Because
ass.
your crack is sideways.
And I asked him, I said, why you call me asphalt, Dad? He goes, it's because your mama's ass and my fault. Anyway.
Well, it's better than Eric's joke from last week. So.
Wait for it.
Wait. It's still coming along.
There we go.
Right. Also, to follow up on that, I want to do our patron-only prize keyword for the week.
Yes,
we were going to start
indeed.
this last week. I wasn't here to enforce this one.
Is it asphalt?
Our
No.
prize keyword for the week is rhinoceros teats.
Oh, rhinoceros.
Rhinoceros teats.
If you want to make a
If you
nice
wanna
milk
win
stout.
TBI T-shirt, be the first one to add that keyword answer into our comments on the episode-related post on the patron-only section of Patreon.
So if a baby
If you're not a
rhinoceros
patron,
was to get milk from its mother, it would use...
the rhinoceros
Rhinoceros
teats.
teats.
Thank you.
Rhinoceros teats. T-E-E-T-S.
I-
However you feel like
That's
spelling it. Doesn't matter.
T-E-A-T-S,
Even if it was
by the
whatever.
way.
T-I-T-T-Y-S.
Yeah, that's right. T-E-A-T-S.
No.
T-E-A-T-S.
Yeah.
Either way,
But spell
Rhinoceros
rhinoceros however you
teats.
want, because I don't
teats
have-
of the rhinoceros is the main thing. So we're just going to use that because I had nothing better to use today. So
I tell you, some
Where
of
did
these
you get
phrases...
rhinoceros?
are
I
coming-
wanna know
Yeah,
where
where was your mind at when it came up with rhinoceros
what's the
teats?
etymology
where are
of
you not thinking
rhinoceros
about
teats?
rhinoceros teats? I mean, the
Well,
teats
most-
of
most of
milking
the-
a rhinoceros. I mean,
Most of the time, I'm not thinking of milking a rhinoceros.
either way, though,
Most
add
of
it
the time.
into
Not
our.
all the time.
I just want our listeners to have to type that in mainly.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. All right.
But
Get a
add
free
that into our
t-shirt.
post on Patreon. If you're not a Patreon patron, then it's pretty simple to join up. That applies to all of our Patreon patrons on our patron-only section to type these in, and we're going to do these weekly. So just keep listening for the keywords. The first person to do that will be in touch with you whenever we get a chance. You're going to win a TBI T-shirt this week.
So the cool thing about what we're going to start doing for you guys that are patrons, we're gonna start to do more and more drawings, more and more giveaways. So you guys can get more and more swag, and we're even going to do, I think, some of the beer kits that we come up with on the air. We're gonna give those away as well. So
it's going to be regular. We're just
Yeah.
going to start giving you guys some stuff.
yeah. So
None wrong with that.
help us out. Doing this. Think about this. If you think about it, if you just did $5 a month. If you won one beer kit,
Yeah, you
a
just
year,
paid for
you paid for it.
months
or
of beer. Yeah.
of beer, So just think about that. We're going to start to do a lot more fun stuff like that for you guys. So
Just simple, basic stuff. Might be
we
gift
just need your
stickers,
help.
swag, kits
for sure. So
Yeah.
Aaron Rodgers won a $25 gift certificate tonight. I know he's excited.
Yeah.
He's already said so on he's watching us live on YouTube.
Thanks,
I
Aaron.
believe so. Anyhow, thank you. Do we have
MVP,
anything
Aaron,
else out
MVP.
tonight?
Closing. Yeah, we're just going to talk about where we're going. Again, short night. So future episodes, we're going to be working on our Turning Point recipe clone brew, which is the reason we stopped by there tonight. And
Yes.
then we've already had like Mike Treadway, you've heard on the show, and Sean, he's been on the show. And Jeremy are going to help and join in on that. We're going to do a recipe clone of their brews, and they're going to come in at some point after we get that set up to discuss what was right and wrong about that.
New England IPA, right?
Pretty much, yeah, or pale ale, whichever, like the hazy, hoppy,
Yeah.
serious style. Kind of
They
like
were
what I
really
had on the
delicious
table.
tonight too. guys.
Yeah, they were. Next week we'll see what we can get into with the Blue Bonnet Brew Off. We're very likely we're not going to have a live show next week, but we are going to possibly do some live
Lots of
streaming here and there.
taping,
So
yeah.
just pay attention for our feeds, I guess, and see what's going on, because I mean it's always debauchery.
It's going to be off the cuff or on
It
the
might just
spur
be. It
sort
might
of,
be just we're doing live feeds on the
yeah.
phone or something.
Yeah,
like that.
probably.
Yeah.
So just watch our channels, and see what we get, and then come back to it if anything. We'll talk about it after the fact. Also, again, please be sure to check out our Patreon account at patreon.com/Come and Brew It Radio to help support the show. We have the $2, $5, $10, and $20 options because every little bit counts. Plus, we want to reward you while we keep the show going. And that's what we're doing right now. So we're literally going to be rewarding every lucky patron at the end of every month with something interesting, which was our start to that this time. We just did February. And it's going to be a random drawing from all the names of the $5, $10, and $20 patrons.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're lucky, maybe you're a winner tonight, Aaron. So if not, you could be. And keep listening, too, for the same thing of the weekly drawings, patrons only. So thanks again for listening to Come and Brew It Radio. Be sure to share with your friends on Facebook and social media. Give us some ratings on iTunes and Stitcher, and send any ideas or comments to info@texasbrewinginc.com. Also, you can always check in on our brew days at the guys at the Brew Focus Facebook pages, at Brew with Stubby, at Brew with Brando, at Brew with Mikey B, at Brew with Chris, at Brew with Greg, and at Brew with Nigel.
Nigel.
Happy birthday, Nigel. Happy birthday.
Nigel.
You old man. Happy
don't
birthday,
forget,
you old man.
99.
I am the
Nigel.
old man in the room. So
You are.
Yeah.
He's almost 50.
You're not old. You're not
Boom.
older than him, are you?
I'm a week behind him.
Oh, we learned.
I'm a week behind him.
And he's
Yeah,
not
he's
in
not
the
older
room
than me.
anyway.
And he's
so,
not in this room.
yeah.
That's what I'm right. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm the old
So-
guy in here.
So also don't forget the coupon code Nigel99,
Yeah,
99
for the
cent
month.
Right.
Munters Marisotto, and
That-
also the
take advantage of
Patreon
that.
prize keyword of rhinoceros teats.
Teats. Yeah.
Everyone want to say it one time. Rhinoceros teats.
Teats.
Rhinoceros.
You know,
Rhinoceros.
I'll talk about
Anyway.
this after the fact.
Come
That
and
sounds
brew it,
pretty-
guys.
Come and brew it.
and brew it.
Come and brew it.
Cheers.
We didn't even talk about 50.
Yeah,
Good night.
that's for next time. Well, we covered a lot more time. Wasn't it? It was sharply grapefruity, and I was like, wow, man. I was worried about it. I grabbed it, sure. Shit.
Cat piss and fruity pebbles.
Yeah, grapefruit. Like real, not coffee grapefruit.
I was like, I came
Yeah.
from the great state of Texas, which is king grapefruit and